Under the bright lights of Philadelphia, the echoes of sneakers on hardwood carried a certain tension, the kind of energy that only surfaces when something special is about to happen. The Charlotte Hornets had arrived with something to prove. Their young star, LaMelo Ball, had been under the microscope, flashes of brilliance often shadowed by inconsistency, questions about leadership, about maturity, about whether his dazzling style could translate into wins. But on this night, all of that noise was silenced. Because when the ball tipped, LaMelo wasn't just playing basketball, he was orchestrating a symphony. The game began at a frenetic pace. From the first possession, it was clear that Charlotte wanted to run, to stretch the floor, to turn defense into chaos and chaos into offense. The Wizards, fresh off a grueling matchup against Philadelphia, looked determined to hold their ground. CJ McCollum came out smooth as ever, knocking down his second three of the season like it was routine, and in a way, for him, it was. That effortless jumper, that veteran poise, it was a reminder that while youth brings energy, experience brings calm. Still, the Hornets' energy was contagious. Carrington, the rookie guard, darted across the floor like a live wire. There were missed layups, sure, the kind that drive coaches insane, but his intensity never wavered. Then there was Colin Sexton, the young bull, driving fearlessly to the rim, carving through defenders with that unmistakable blend of power and defiance. Every bucket was a statement, every possession a spark in a growing fire. LaMelo watched all of it unfold with that trademark composure. His first few touches were deliberate, calculating. A spin, a hesitation, a flick of the wrist, the kind of moves that feel like second nature only to those born with an otherworldly feel for the game. Then, with one fluid motion, he rose up and drilled a three. The crowd gasped. It wasn't just the shot, it was the rhythm. That seamless motion that makes you forget how difficult the game really is. As the first quarter closed, CJ McCollum delivered the punctuation mark. With just seconds left, he took the inbound, surveyed the floor, and buried a buzzer beater. Pure confidence, pure control. The Hornets had weathered the opening storm, and the tone was set. Then came the second act, and LaMelo Ball decided it was time to take over. Every possession began and ended with him. He controlled the tempo like a conductor at his podium, waving defenders into traps and teammates into space. When he wasn't pulling up from deep, he was slicing through the paint, delivering passes that defied geometry. An underhand flip here, a one-handed dart there, no look, full speed, all precision. His chemistry with Miles Bridges was electric. One moment, LaMelo was breaking down his defender with a cross. The next, the ball was floating toward the rim, where Bridges rose like a thundercloud and threw it down with fury. It wasn't just showtime, it was substance. By halftime, Ball had already notched 21 points. His fingerprints were on everything. From his soft touch at the rim to his sharp court vision, he was in complete command. When he found Diabate in the post for a clever hook shot, it wasn't just another assist, it was an exclamation mark on a half that belonged entirely to him. The Wizards tried to respond. Alex Sarr battled inside, showing flashes of why scouts once projected him as a top 10 pick. CJ McCollum continued to hit from deep, reminding everyone why his shooting touch remains among the best in the league. But Charlotte's pace was relentless. They wanted to run, and LaMelo made sure they did. Third quarter. The Hornets exploded. 44 points in 12 minutes. That's not basketball, that's an offensive avalanche. And at the center of it all was LaMelo, manipulating space, timing, and rhythm like a puppeteer. Every possession seemed to end the same way, a Hornet wide open, a shot dropping, the crowd rising. CJ McCollum absorbed contact, drew fouls, and still converted. Sexton found his rhythm. Even the rookies joined the party. Riley, the young gun, stepped in cold and splashed a three like it was nothing. And yet, the true story wasn't the scoring. It was the composure. The Hornets had been here before, up big, playing beautiful basketball, only to crumble late. But not tonight. Not with LaMelo dictating every detail. There was a moment midway through the third that encapsulated it all. The Wizards were rallying. A quick three, a defensive stop, a transition bucket. The lead was shrinking. The energy in the building shifted. But LaMelo didn't blink. He walked the ball up, stared down his defender, then casually pulled up from well beyond the arc. The shot hung in the air for what felt like forever. Swish. Just like that, the momentum was gone. Every great player has that moment, the one where you realize they're in full control of their destiny. For LaMelo, that shot was it. By the time the fourth quarter began, the stat sheet was absurd. Points, rebounds, assists, all climbing into rarefied air. The Wizards tried everything: switches, traps, full court pressure, but LaMelo's handle was unshakable. His patience under duress was almost arrogant. When they doubled him, he found the open man. When they sagged, he punished them from deep. It was artistry disguised as efficiency. Alex Sarr continued to fight for Washington, knocking down jumpers with patience and touch. Bridges countered with a monster slam that sent the bench to its feet. The sequence forced a timeout, and as the Hornets huddled, you could feel the shift, the quiet realization that this was no fluke. This was growth. When play resumed, LaMelo capped it off with surgical precision. He drove baseline, drew two defenders, and flicked the ball backward, a no-look dime to Bridges for the finish. That was assist number 10. Triple-double secured. The crowd erupted. A smile crept across LaMelo's face as he jogged back on defense, not arrogance, not celebration, but satisfaction. The kind that comes from silencing every critic, even for just one night. The final minutes were academic. The Wizards pressed, desperate for a miracle, but the Hornets had already written their story. From start to finish, they played with balance, rhythm, and hunger. They had rediscovered something they'd lost: belief. As the buzzer sounded, the scoreboard told the tale: Charlotte 1-2 no more. A much-needed victory, anchored by brilliance. LaMelo Ball walked off the court with a triple-double, his first of the young season, and the quiet confidence of a man who knows his best basketball is still ahead. He didn't need to say anything. The numbers spoke for him. The rhythm of the game spoke for him. And for the Hornets, the message was clear: this was a team capable of far more than the world was giving them credit for. On nights like this, you could see it: the vision, the energy, the spark that made LaMelo Ball one of the most electrifying young players in the game. And for once, the highlights weren't empty. They meant something. They built momentum. They built belief. As the players shook hands, the cameras zoomed in on LaMelo, laughing with teammates, dapping up opponents, already talking about the next one. That's the thing about greatness: it doesn't celebrate for long. It just reloads. Because for the Charlotte Hornets, this wasn't just a win over Washington. It was a statement. A declaration that the Showtime flair was finally meeting substance. That the promise of the Ball era in Charlotte was more than hype. It was real. And if this version of LaMelo Ball is here to stay, efficient, confident, unselfish, then the league better start paying attention.